Brian, I'll ask the question because our listeners don't know you just got back from Zambia, but
Right.
are you jet lagged from Zambia?
I want to say no,
I think you are.
but I also need a disclaimer for the podcast.
This might be one episode that has the E on it.
Yeah, I would like a disclaimer.
Okay, we'll
If,
put that up
if it doesn't go well or appropriate, then I am jet lagged.
So maybe you should write a song called "Blame It on Zambia."
Yeah, that's a good look for me as a American missionary to blame it on, an underserved country somewhere else
So maybe
in
not.
Africa.
Maybe scratch that then.
Blame it on Zambia.
So
Yeah. Number one in Spotify.
Our guest wasn't in Zambia, but he was out there surviving in the rough a little bit.
True.
So we'd like to welcome Luke Olson to the show. Luke was one of the contestants on the show, the Fox show Extracted, with his brothers David and Daniel. We know Luke. We go way back with Luke, but we got to watch him on the show. And he's also in a band with his brothers. It's like a Jonas thing, but maybe not.
Right.
So, but Luke, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Almost Jonas brother. I'm not just a little bit older and more dad bod-ish and kind of out of shape, but
You're about the
not
same
Daniel.
age as the Jonas.
Daniel's in good shape. Me, on the other hand,
Okay.
yeah, no, I'm not Jonas brother material. But thank you.
Yeah. I prefer to call it father figure. Right? It's not a dad bod. It's a
I'm
father
working
figure.
on my father figure.
I want to know: is he your friend or my friend?
That's a good question.
For him, does he consider himself? I'm on this podcast as Brian's friend or as Jeff's friend, because you invited Natalie and you've introduced me to friends, and I've said, "Hey, let me bring some of my friends." Thanks. Okay.
I mean, I've known him longer, but you know him better, I think.
Maybe we'll see.
Can't we all just get along? We're all friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's part of the show, bro. We're not going to get along. We're not going to fight fair. None of that.
All
So,
right.
Luke, you were on a reality show. Let's lead into this question. Did you grow up watching reality television? If so, what was the first show you remember watching, like as far as reality TV?
Oh man, honestly, like I grew up, I was homeschooled. I'm one of 8 kids, and like we did not have like cable television or anything. So I just spent a lot of time playing outside. I mean, we watched like maybe like American Idol or things like that, but I was never really into like Survivor or anything like that. Really until I got married, and then just unwinding, watching
The
television.
Bachelor?
Yeah, no, never got
I
into the
begrudgingly
Bachelor.
watch you from the back.
Yeah, the Love Island.
We
Or
don't watch
something.
Love Island.
Like, I don't know. I just have seen commercials. It's
We
like,
don't watch Love Island, Brian.
The reality TV that
Yeah.
I would watch was more like competition based. It wasn't like drama reality TV. Like I wanted to see some people competing, fighting it out, doing those kind of things. So, yeah. But I watched this show. My wife and I watched the first season because my friend Jay got me onto it. Like he's like, "Hey, you got to check out the show. It's crazy. These people are out there just dying in the woods. They don't know what they're doing." I was like, "All right, yeah, people suffering. That sounds like my kind of show." So I watched it, and then the whole time I'm just like armchair quarterback, like, "Dude, it's people doing like." Surely, like you guys can figure this out. And my wife was like, "Listen, if you think you're so smart, dude, why don't you apply and you see if you can do it?" And I was like, I think I will.
Yeah.
And that was not as easy as I thought it was gonna be, but it was still pretty cool.
I wonder how many people are like that. They're watching the shows, and that's how they get there. It's like, I bet I could do that.
Oh, for sure.
Like, that's how I watch The Biggest Loser. Right? The Biggest Loser with
I love
the
that show.
girl who's like
Cheers.
yelling at him.
Just
Come on,
little.
fatty, do some sit-ups. And I'm like, I could be yelled at by a woman to tell me to. I could have a woman yell at me to tell me to exercise more. I could do that.
Never mind. We won't go there.
What was the first reality show you remember watching?
I'm OG. I watched The Real World on MTV.
Yeah.
Like the original reality show.
Same. Yeah, and then into Road Rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like MTV changed how I watch TV. Like The Real World. I had a youth leader in our youth group. He was in his mid-30s, single, kind of an odd dude. I don't think he listens to the show. So I can
What's
say
his
that.
name?
His name is Steve Hungerford. We put it out there. Steve, if you're listening, love you, buddy. he applied for Real World. He kept like every year kept applying for Real World and never got on. Like, thank God, it's probably helpful for all of us. But
saved his ministry.
I don't think he has a ministry. I think he
Okay.
was a youth leader, not pastor.
Oh, okay.
He was helping, like setting up chips and salsa or something.
Right.
But that was the first show I remember. Like, I think it is technically the first reality show.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Real World. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I still consume a lot of reality TV, but it's in the form of like whatever YouTube like genre that my son is watching.
Got it.
It's like the Bryan Bros, Golf Channel, the Grant Horvat, those guys, and it's reality TV ish.
Right.
So, and so that's still like I feel like I'm still kind of consuming that.
I by proxy, gosh, I have to admit this. Kind of watch The Bachelor with my wife because she has it on. And usually I just get mad at the girl. I'm like, did your daddy not teach you better? Like that kind of move, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to admit this full transparency. I love Love is Blind. Have you watched that?
Is it like a blind person?
No. No, they're in these like
I don't know. I just haven't seen it.
Like they're in these like they call them pods, and like they are dating people, but they can't see them.
Okay.
So the whole romance is built on conversation,
right.
And then they have to but they can't leave the pods unless they're engaged. It's wild, and they like move towards marriage.
Is there money involved in that?
No, a marriage is involved.
There should be.
Man,
there should definitely be money.
Who is signing up for that? Just be like, you know what? I never want to meet the person I'm going to marry until I marry.
They meet them.
They just don't see them.
They meet them at the engagement.
Amazing.
Which is still kind of crazy.
Do they talk about like, hey, so tell me what you look like, man?
No, they can't.
They're not allowed.
Not allowed.
That's wild.
You're just judging by voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely.
You know there's some tricky folks out there though. Like on the phone, there's real beautiful on the phone. Then you see him in reality and you're like, yo, your voice and your physique don't match.
That happen.
Right. Even me.
That's me and you.
Yeah, right now, people listening on the podcast, they're like, man, I bet Brian,
smooth
like, I bet Brian is just like stout. I bet he's like gym rat. My voice sounds like a gym rat, but in reality, my dad bod exploded.
Hey, I'm not going to lie, man. The first time I talked to you on the phone, Brian, I thought I was talking to Chris Hemsworth, but you know, you're close enough.
Right? There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. Except it's Chris Farley. It's not Chris Hemsworth. It's Chris Farley. Right? That guy in a little.
Bit,
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Love on the Spectrum, I think people should watch. I don't know about Love is Blind.
Did you watch the latest season?
No, I haven't watched the latest season yet. I've been gone helping people in Zambia. Okay? I don't have time for that.
Come on, get your priorities.
But when I was home, I love that show.
It's a good. I have seen.
I don't think you're supposed to apply. It's one of those shows. It's not like Luke.
They find you.
Like how many applications do you think Luke would have to place in order to make it on Love on the Spectrum?
I've got one in my house that's on the Spectrum. We considered putting him involved in it. He needs love, but I don't know if he's TV ready yet.
They get so many applications on that show from parents.
I'm sure, right? Yeah.
Like, please consider my son. We better stop.
Yeah.
We better stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lindsay, your wife, and who Brian and I both know, was the instigator of you applying.
100%. And yes, it's all honestly, it's all because of her. Like, because I mean, I'm the kind of person that's like, I'll sit back and tell you how to do it. But I'm usually not the one that's like, here, let me show you how to do it. And so she was like, well, if you think you're tough, man, why don't you do it? And I was like, all right, babe, listen, I'll show you I'm tough and I'll apply it. Not thinking that anybody would ever reach back out to me, but I more so just did it just to prove a point. And then, you know, sure enough, they reached back out to me. I think they said like over 40,000 people applied. And wouldn't you know, they called me, and I didn't even tell my brothers that I applied and had put them down because I was like, there's no chance like anybody's going to reach back out.
So you like blindly put them in the mix.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. And
okay.
So they're reality TV fans. Like they've been applying for Survivor for years. You know, all these different shows I've been trying to get onto. This is the first time I've ever applied for anything. And I got a call within a week. And I mean, it was like, I was
Are you
shocked.
the oldest of the three?
What's that?
Are you the oldest of the three?
I'm in the middle. Daniel's the oldest, then me, and then David. So
okay. I'm just saying, like, that's the kind of stuff. I got one older brother, and I can spend years doing something, and like he can fall off a boat and hit a treasure chest no matter what.
Yeah.
And like I applied one time, and now I'm a golf pro or something ridiculous. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's like our friend being
yeah.
to
my
break down on the
gosh.
side of the road and find an envelope full of money.
Seriously.
Like he falls into everything working out for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretend anybody listening has no clue what this show is. Give them like the rundown.
Okay, so basically what the show is, there's teams of 3. One person from each team. Basically, we're up in Northern Ontario, somewhere in Northern Ontario. There's one person from each team that's going to get dropped off in the woods, completely isolated, not even around the other people in the woods. They enter the woods with nothing but the clothes on their back and like one canteen of water. And have to build shelters, do all this stuff. The crazy thing about being in the wild, though, is there's no film crew out there. I had to film myself. There's cameras mounted on trees and everything like that. But I was, for the most part, if I was not at my immediate campsite, I was responsible for filming myself. And what that did is that would stream back to where the other 2 people from each team were all together in this, what they called HQ, this headquarters area, where they could see all the camera footage from every survivalist. They could hear us in our mics that we had to wear. So they could see in real time everything that was going on with the different survivalists who were isolated out in the wilderness. But we couldn't hear them. I couldn't watch them on a screen, or I couldn't just be like having a conversation with them. So we were legitimately alone in the woods. Their job was to...
Well, they can see you and hear you.
Well, I mean, I was hopeful that they were watching and not just like, overplaying Monopoly in the corner with their friends, with a plate of nachos in their lap. The amount of times I was out there saying like, so help me, if you guys are out, I'm so hungry right now. And I would almost bet I'm going to watch this back and you're going to be sitting there with a plate of nachos in your lap, just watching me. I was like, I'm going to be really mad if I watch that. But I would just have to hope that they were there, listening and watching, but they would have to either like through strategy or competitions, fight to get me supplies or take supplies from other people or block people from getting supplies, in order for me to get things, or I would have to compete either by myself or with or against other competitors out in the woods. And during those competitions, that was the only time that I saw people out in the wilderness. There wasn't safety teams. There wasn't, somebody with a rifle in case a bear got too close. Like, it was all like we were legitimately alone. Aside from like when the challenges were taking place, like sometimes you'd see a cameraman way off in the tree line in a ghillie suit, filming, but we couldn't make contact with anybody. Even sometimes when I'd run into other survivalists out in the woods, they would let us know like, you are not to make contact unless we tell you to have conversations with people. You can't converse. You can't even acknowledge that they're there. So it was crazy. It was like Hunger Games meets Alone. But for people who are not supposed to be alone in the woods. I was definitely not qualified for it. I don't think anybody was, but that was kind of the point. They want people that aren't, necessarily like trained to be like outdoor men or Boy Scouts or anything like that. They wanted people who would, suffer out in the woods. So that's what they got.
So I'm just trying to process this in my head, and I've watched parts of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Are your brothers on like 24-hour call? Like, are they in the HQ the whole time, like 24 hours a day? Because like you're in real time living out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they sleeping in a chair? What's going on with them? You're out camping, doing your thing. Are they just sitting in the room for 24 hours the whole time?
Yeah. So at HQ, there was basically the big main room where each team of 2 had their desk, and they would have an iPad in front of them. From what I understand, this is what they told me. Like, they could go through. There's like a big screen, and one person at a time would be featured on the big screen in the middle, and then around the edges, there's little screens where you can see the other competitors. And they could scroll through and like highlight in on one person if they're like, okay, I want to see what Doug's doing today. You want to listen to him. They could listen in, watch him specifically, and then switch around to the different people. And then over the main TV and speaker, they would swap back and forth going to different people. Like if somebody was, having a highlight or like a low moment, they'd put them up on the big screen. If somebody's cracking, like, man, I want to get out of here, I can't take this, they're going to put them up on the big screen and put them over the speaker. But my brothers couldn't leave that initial area. There was like fire pits outside and stuff that they could go to, and they would sleep in almost like these storage containers. Like each team had their own little like storage container that had like beds in it and stuff. but they were there. They didn't have their phones. They didn't have access to call their families or anything like that. Like, in a sense, they were isolated too, but just with the other people at HQ. But they had more of like the production aspect of like, you're going to have cameras in your face, boom mics, all that stuff, like no privacy at all. Me, I was just completely alone. So we had very different experiences and how our journey was on the show. Like I didn't have anybody around me. They never had privacy. Like even in their rooms, there was cameras, and they had to wear mics and stuff like that. So it was like, they said it was pretty wild, like trying to have like a conversation with somebody where you're trying to build a relationship and you've got 3 people in your face with cameras, microphones, all this stuff. And they're just there, like right up in your business. And so they said it was a very like weird environment in that regard. And also, you're also watching somebody that you really care about like deteriorate in front of your eyes in real time. Like, and there's really, in a lot of cases, nothing you could do about it. They couldn't just be like, hey, you know what? Let's just pull them out for an hour, get them a glass of water, all that stuff. Like, my brother said that he would be up till like 2 or 3 in the morning a lot of nights. Like both of them, they take turns, sleeping and then getting up and watching me and making sure I was okay. It was a pretty traumatic experience on both ends of it, I think.
Did you go in with some kind of plan? Like I'm gonna be so good at this. I'm gonna just knock this out of the park. Like, did you practice all this stuff at home? And you're like, guys, I got it. Whatever you do, leave me out there. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I watched the first season like 3 times. Like, and I was studying, thinking it was going to be exactly like the first season, which it really ended up. There were similarities, but they made it a lot more difficult in the sense that they didn't give out as many supplies. So the first season, they went into it, the contestants, they had no idea what the show was. They told them it's going to be an outdoor show, your family's involved. That's more or less the information they got. So in the first season, they were sending out a lot more supplies because they were figuring out what the show was as it progressed. The contestants, they didn't know, like, okay, well, here in a couple of days, we'll have a supply drop. So we're good. We'll hold off. They were just like, what the heck are we doing? For us, me, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to study this area that the show was in. It was in like British Columbia. I'm going to study the environment, all these different things I can eat there. I'm going to wait till I get my first supply drop. I'll get a whole big crate. Because basically in season 1, first supply drop was whatever you can fit in the crate, we'll send out to them. First supply drop in my season, I got a knife and a bow drill. And I had to swim across part of the lake to get it. Like, so it was like, when that happened, wow. I was like, okay, this is not going to be the same show. It was also a completely like the other end of Canada. So the environment was totally different. So they did a really good job of like, you could prepare, but only so much. Like you really didn't know what to expect. And so I did practice a lot of things. I did a lot of research, but my brother Daniel and David, they're both like, hey, like it's one thing to research, like you got to get out there and actually do it. And so there were times where we learned how to use compasses, navigate with just compasses and maps, and did a lot of studying on how to start fires, like bow drills, different methods like that, building shelters. I studied multiple different ways on how I could build a shelter. And then I'm trying to think of like other things. Like I did prepare my body a lot, and like I stopped eating sugars, no caffeine. I would only take ice cold showers for like the 3 months leading up to it. And I didn't even know for sure we didn't know that we were going to be on the show for sure until about maybe 2 days before I actually went out in the wild.
Wow.
And we were already up in Canada at that point. But, I was doing all these things months in advance because I was like, listen, if there is a chance that I have this opportunity, it would be foolish of me to not at least take some time to learn things, that would maybe give me a leg up in the competition. And so the main one that I really focused on was the bow drill, because I knew that would be something that would be a realistic possibility that I'd have to come up against in the show, because that was such a big part of the first season. And so I really only got like maybe 4 or 5 started in the few months that I practiced. And like we would go out and we would get our own materials and make it from scratch. And I don't know if either of y'all have tried starting a bow drill fire, but it is it is an absolute art form. Like it's so hard, so hard. So those are some of the things like in preparation. I did a lot of running. I was trying to like build myself up like from a stamina standpoint, like in case there was challenges where I had to race. I was swimming a lot, but I was also trying to take in calories too, which hindsight being 2020, I would have really bulked up a lot more before I went in.
I feel like I would have done that. I would have been like carb load.
Yeah.
Like, take me to Olive Garden. I want unlimited breadsticks before we go out there. I'm on a carb load.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so could you cheat? Could you like tape a lighter to your stomach? Did they like pat you down?
Oh no, they searched
like,
us.
It's
like
they searched you.
Yeah.
So there was no like, I'm gonna tape the inside of my thigh. I got a couple lighters right here.
Well,
taped to my thigh.
Even with that, I mean, we had like there was cameras where my campsite was. That was predetermined. Like where my fire was, all that stuff. It had to be in a certain spot because there was risk of forest fires.
Okay.
So if I'm just like day 2, I'm not supposed to have a fire starting method yet, and I just just kind of lean over and hey, a fire, like they'd be a little bit suspect about that, a little suspicious. But
I would have definitely got kicked off the show.
Like he's some sort of Boy Scout.
I mean, there were some people that accused us of cheating with that we
really.
I don't know if y'all saw the fake advantage that my brothers planted. That was something.
So explain it.
Well, okay, so another thing that we did in preparation was we memorized Morse code. So throughout the series, and you don't really see it in the like the season, but yeah, I'm doing like wiping my eye, scratching my head, humming different things, carving with my knife in Morse code, trying to get them signals of like, hey, I need fire.
Help me.
Yeah, like get me out of here. So I'm like, because with the idea that like my brothers aren't the only people that are listening right now. Other teams could be listening. We wanted to be able to have the ability to be like, hey, I really need a fishing rod right now. I need fishing material. If people hear me say that, they're not going to let me get it. So while I'm saying, hey, I really wish I had a fishing rod right now, I'm sending them Morse code like, I really need fire. Like, get me fire. That's what I need. And so with that, my brothers, going into it, we wanted to be the villains of the show. We wanted to play a really aggressive game because those are the people who are always remembered. Like in the series, you don't remember the people that sit back and do nothing. Like you remember the people who are loud and make bold moves. And so that was our goal. Like going in, it was like, we're going to make huge moves. Probably going to make us the villains. We don't care. It might open up doors down the road beyond extracted. Like if we're memorable. So like,
yeah.
There was 2 times in the show where they had fake advantages. The first one didn't make it on. But we had in Sequester, we had come up with, I think it's called like a pigpen cipher, where it's this thing where if you solve it, it'll basically, there's different symbols and different things you have to unlock to basically figure out what is written on the page. So in that one, they got Doug's boys to go on basically a wild goose chase. It didn't end up really leading to anything. So I think that's why they didn't put it in the show. But the one that caused the most stir was they made one with Morse code, and they hid it in a book and intentionally baited Roman, his family, into finding it because at the time we were thinking Roman he's the top competitor out here. Like he was 20 years old. I think it's 20 or 21. Dude literally would be like, hey, I haven't had water in 2 days when I run into him. And then he's like doing one-handed push-ups. Like, I'm just like, what is this? Like, you're a machine. And so my brothers were thinking, we've got to target him because he's got the most energy. He's got a positive attitude. We've got to break his spirit somehow. And so they devised a plan where they made, and it is the most legit looking advantage. Like Daniel said it took them over 24 hours of them just writing this and like getting it on the paper to look legitimate. But they hid it in a book, and basically it said something in a nutshell, like give up your fire making methods, and in return you'll get like warmth, fire, and food within 24 hours. And so they got him, but then production stepped in and said, hey, we can't take his stuff away. And so But like, had production been willing to take the crate with his stuff in it, like it would have actually worked. But a lot of people online were not very happy about that and accused us of cheating. It's just like, you know what?
Oh, the
You
guy,
ain't cheating, you ain't
in my
trying, right?
office who watches it. He came in because I told him that we knew you and whatever, and he's like, oh, he came in after that episode, smokes. He was like,
Yeah.
you should have seen what they did. They're so hated on the show.
Dude. Oh my gosh,
I was like,
that
well,
is
really
that's an understatement. The amount of messages that I still get, even though the show's been gone, it's been over for a few weeks now. Like, dude, I still get stuff said. Yeah, I won't indulge you on what has been said to me because I'd need to wash my mouth out with soap if I did. But like, I get so many crazy messages from people that get so invested in the show, which is, hey, it's great. Like, I love that people love watching the show. We wanted to leave a mark and we wanted to be the villains, and it definitely it's a move that will be remembered, and people definitely did not like us after it. There's some people that absolutely loved it, and then some people that absolutely hated it, and we're very vocal about that.
How much of you guys being on this show and your yes to like try it, whether it was Lindsay challenging you or not, how much of that was motivated by like the prize money?
I mean, that definitely helped, motivate it. But,
Right.
going into it, we knew the prize was $250,000 split 3 ways, which is awesome. Like, that's great money. It's not life-changing money, so going into it, more so than what we were going to get out from a financial gain at that point, we really wanted to go in and promote things that we were passionate about, which they didn't really get into a lot in the show. One of which being our music. Like, we were hoping to use that as an avenue to draw people towards our music. Initially going into it, and coming out of it, I had a complete paradigm shift of like, based on my experience, like going into it, I was like, what can I get out of this? What can I get out of this? Coming out of it, it was more so an experience of like, oh my gosh, like my eyes were open to a lot. Like, what can I do to help people who are in this environment on a daily basis? And really my brothers too. Like, yeah, it's great. Like the people going to our music and listening, like that's all great. And we're all about promoting that too. Like, that's something that we're very passionate about and we want to continue to push. But, for me, and Brian, I've talked to you about this, like,
yeah, we have,
going out there and realizing what it's like to not have clean water. Dude, I've never been more in a desperate state in my life. Like, it was so eye-opening and so humbling, honestly, going into that environment where, I'm thinking like, I'm going to absolutely kill this. And then, I don't have water. Okay. We're going on day 3. I don't have a fire. I've got just a little bit of water left. I'm drinking just sips of water a day. I can't drink the water down at the lake because I might get sick, and just feeling like your throat sticking together when you're talking or you're breathing, and you're this sounds gross, but sucking on loogies because it's the only moisture you can get in your mouth. Like, it was brutal. Like, and just how lethargic you got. My kidneys were killing me. I was having heart palpitations. I couldn't even hardly stand up without almost blacking out. Like, and on some days, and like, it was brutal. And there was a day where I was in my shelter, and this was probably about maybe 6 or 7 days in, if I remember correctly. And I was just laying there. I was like, man, this sucks. Like, I just need some water. Like, and I felt like God was like, and this is one of the many like moments where I felt so in tune with the Lord when I was out there. But I felt like I was like, hey man, like, yeah, you're sitting here throwing a fit, you're feeling sorry for yourself, and it stinks. But like, what if your wife and kids were with you? And what if you had to decide who got the last bit of water and who you had to watch die of dehydration? And then the real gut punch was, I felt like God was like, you complain because your drive-through takes too long. Then there's people who would kill to be in the position you're in right now, as bad as it is for you. Like, there's people who would kill to be in your position. And I literally just laid there for a while, and I was just like, man, I am spoiled rotten. Like, I have it so good And here I am feeling sorry for myself when somebody on the other side of the world is watching their kids die right now because they don't have access to clean water. And
Yeah.
I mean, that wrecked me. Like, I still to this day, like, I don't turn on my faucet without thinking about that. And, I have that little jar of water that you gave me by my kitchen sink. And every time I turn my sink on, I have that where I can see it, where my wife can see it, my kids can see it. And, there's not a day that goes by where I don't think about the people who are struggling, to survive, in an environment that is just absolutely grueling. And, it was the not having food was tough, not having good sleep was tough, the cold was tough, but 100% the hardest part of that journey was the water, not having water. It was brutal, man. But that's
we met.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just like, we met via a phone call. Luke and a group of his friends, our mutual friends, there's a whole group of them, jumped in as donors for the missions work that we do, for a borehole that we dug last year. And everybody gave a portion of money. And so, I guess really soon before the show, we were texting and I was like, hey, here's the address. And he's like, all right, I got to send this check because I'm getting ready to be gone for a while. So we got to get this. What's your address and stuff? And we have talked so much since then. But at the end, it was just like maybe something you had always wanted to do. And a bunch of friends were doing it. And you just kind of jumped in, not aware of how impactful that was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the way you remember it too.
No, well, for me, like, and I feel so bad looking at it, looking back, like, that to me at the moment was a bucket list item. Going in and trying to help those people is like something I'd always wanted to do. And now I'm like, man, that's a really messed up way to look at it. Hey, me wanting to help save somebody's life, that's a bucket list item. I want to check that off the list, and for me personally, it's like now I'm like, now that I've experienced it, it's like, okay, I can't just check that off my list and move on. Like that will forever be ingrained in me because I've just got a small taste of it, and not to say that like, people should feel bad about giving one time, it's like you do what you feel led to do, but for me, because of my experience, like it wrecked me. Like it really did, because I got to experience firsthand, and now I feel like God has given me a passion towards that. And it's been really cool. And now I have an appreciation for people who have passions in different areas and like are helping in different areas, because it's like, I understand the importance of getting involved. I understand the importance of spreading a message that God puts in your heart to help others. It's not just something that like I personally can just do once and then be like, well, I'll check that off my list, because it's so much more than that. And it was a convicting thing for me because I don't know that I was at the time, like I had good intentions, but it wasn't something that I was like, hey, I'm doing this because these people need this. And this is what God is calling me to do. It was more so doing it because it's like, oh, that would be cool to be able to tell people that I was a part of that, and it's been, if I could go back and do the whole show again, knowing the outcome and seeing the good that has come out of it in my life personally, just for that aspect alone, I would do it again in a heartbeat. Knowing that I wasn't going to win, knowing that the prize money wasn't going to be mine. But I really do, and this sounds super cheesy and super cliche, but I really do feel like I took away more from the show by losing than I did by winning. If that makes sense. Like in a weird way. Like I don't think I'd be able to appreciate the struggles as much and learn as much from the journey if I was coming home with a bunch of money in my pocket. Nothing wrong with winning. I'd have been really thankful to win, but I feel like I personally almost needed to lose this one to be able to take the full amount of growth out of it that I did.
Yeah, a good friend of ours, all of ours actually, says that God has a way of turning our pain into pulpits. Be it that we actually communicate that or we do something with it, right?
Yeah. That's good.
Dr. Lamb, we'll name him. So we all know who would say something so profound as that. But do you think that maybe, and and again, we can't always guess where the trauma is going to happen. And this one is maybe a little more self inflicted. You went on the show, but do you think maybe that was the bigger purpose in this? I mean, again, look, we wish you'd have won. That'd been great for you and your family. But do you think the Lord was like, hey, I'm going to let him have this moment so I can teach him something and make him purposeful in this?
Oh, 100%. I think that's definitely an aspect of it for sure. Because it was even beyond that. Like the experiences that I had in my growth with the Lord when I was out there was even beyond just having that passion ignited me with helping people get access to clean water.
Right.
There was from the get-go, every morning I was like, hey, I'm gonna start my day by praying the fruits of the Spirit over myself every morning. That's gonna be part of my routine in the morning. And I felt like the very first day, and I think partially is because I didn't have all the distractions. I didn't have my phone, I didn't have the TV, I didn't have social media, 50 phone calls that I had to answer for work. It was just isolation. And I felt like the very first day when I prayed that over myself, God was like, lean into joy. Like, this is going to be a journey for you. Lean into joy because the joy of the Lord will be your strength.
Yeah.
And literally that was, I was singing The Joy by the Belonging Co. in my mind or out loud the whole time. I was praying, God, give me joy, because I was so weak and I was so malnourished and just depleted of all energy that like, we get the thing over our radio. It's like, hey, you're going to hike all this way to go do this really grueling competition. And then you got to hike back. And I'd be laying on the ground like, I can't even stand up, God. Like, I just need joy. Give me joy. That's what I need to get through this. And if I have your joy, I'll be able to do it. And I'm not even kidding you when I say I would get boosts of energy to go hike for miles, compete in a really tough thing. And the challenges were no joke. Like when we had to swim, dude, I was like scared because of how far we had to swim out to this thing and then tread water, untie these knots, and then swim back. Like, I want to say it was like over 400 yards or something like that, 400 or 500 yards, something crazy like that. I may be off on that. Don't quote me. But it was some ridiculous like distance. And that was late in the competition. So I was already dead at that point. So I had no business being able to swim more than like 25 yards. But like, I would just be like, the whole time I was like, God, give me joy. And I'd be able to compete. I'd be able to do all these different things when, I was absolutely zapped. I was having to walk with a cane. Like I made a walking stick and I was having to do it because I could barely stand, but I'd get just enough energy to go do what I needed to do. And then just hearing God's voice and hearing like feeling when he was telling me to do something or like, like with the fish that I caught. Excuse me. I remember thinking like, man, I had been fishing for a while, hadn't caught anything. I was walking back up to my campsite. I was going to call it. It's like, I'll do it. I throw my line in the water. Out of nowhere, this bass comes and swims right by my line. It goes about like maybe 10, 15 feet past it. I'm just like, oh man. It stops and turns around and is just looking at my line and then slowly swims towards it. And I'm just like, oh, please, God, please. And then boom, bites it. And had I not like listened to God, had I not heard his voice and like heard him in that moment, I would have been hungry that day. My last fire, the last day before we got banished to the islands, I had one mass left. Because the whole time out there, I only had 6 fires, including my last one on the last day. And so I was like holding on to that match like it was, the most precious thing to me. And I remember praying that morning, like, God, man, it's been so good, like hearing your voice and learning to trust you, and knowing when you're telling me to do something, like I've seen the fruits of that and seen how you blessed me in that. Like, and I thank you for doing that. And he's like, all right, use your last match. And I was like, wait. I beg your pardon? What was that? I think our antenna's off a little bit here because there's no way you just told me to use my last match because I didn't know that was the last day. Like they had told us 3 to 6 weeks. And so I'm thinking like, if I use my last match right here and I'm out here another week, I am done. Like there is no chance that I will live through this. And he was like, no, if you're telling me that you trust me, use your last match. And I remember just looking at my camera and being like, Daniel, David, you guys are going to hate me, but I feel like I'm supposed to do this. I used my last match, boiled water, filled up my canteens. I hard boiled my 3 eggs that I still had. And right after I did that, we got the thing over our speaker that said, "You're going to be banished from your camp. You've got 30 minutes." And so I was like, "Okay, God." And we couldn't take any supplies with us. So my match would have been wasted at that point. And so I was able to drink all my canteens and eat all my eggs before I had to go hike a long ways and then build a raft and swim out to the island that I had to go to. And so it was just like stuff like that, where it was like I learned so much about like trusting God and hearing his voice. And it's like the other times where you're like, man, is God telling me to do something, or is that just I, one too many tacos for lunch? I'm feeling that like prompting in my stomach, or like in my heart, like, or is that indigestion? But like being able to connect the dots of like hearing God's voice in my head and like feeling him in my spirit telling me to do something or communicating with me, things like that. Like that was really cool to be able to connect the dots with those two things, because it really was like the most amazing spiritual and physical journey that I've ever been on. It was really cool.
Were there moments, Luke, when the practice of solitude, which is spiritual discipline, became isolation, and those moments almost evaporated where you didn't sense anything, didn't sense the Lord, and you knew you were alone, and it was like, God, I'm out here all by myself. Where are you?
Honestly, no, like it was, it was intimidating. Like when I first got out there, because I don't think I realized how alone I was actually going to be. Like until we got out there, like we went up in that seaplane, and all you could see, as far as the eye could see, was just forest and lakes. And so at that point, I was like, holy cow, like we're legitimately in the middle of nowhere. Like I can't just hike 2 miles to the east and, stop in a 7-Eleven and grab myself a bag of chips and a Slurpee. Like there's nothing out here. And so that was really intimidating. But honestly, like it was crazy, because right off the bat, I felt like a connection with God like I've never felt before. Like, and it really, I the whole time I was out there thinking about like, okay, and I'm not comparing myself to Jesus in any way, but I could see the importance of why Jesus went away before his ministry started, because something about fasting and just getting away from distractions, I have never felt closer to God. And it's crazy, because I've been a believer my entire life, but there really is something about removing yourself from your comfort, from things that like can become a distraction, and then just solely focusing on the fact that it's just you and God, and that was a really cool thing for me, it was a very humbling, just beautiful experience. And I mean, I think that everybody, maybe not to that extreme, but everybody should have an opportunity like that where they can go away, leave your phone, leave everything, and just have a week to yourself with just you and God. Like it really was an incredible experience.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I want to follow up, and then we can go to Brian's question. But is that a discipline you think obviously you're not going back to the show and to that island, but is it a discipline you think you'll carry forward, this sort of idea of solitude?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll be a hermit, for the rest of my life, but like, and obviously I've got 4 kids, so it's like coming back to it, like to just real life and, reality of my family and everything. Like, it's definitely something that I'd like to incorporate more. Like, even if it's not complete and total solitude, but if it's like a week where it's like, hey, you know what? I do feel like I'm just going to, electronics, I don't need them for a week. I don't need that, or, I think, even more so, like, even just like Lindsay and I getting away for a week and being like, let's just get away for a week, and not so much make it like, hey, how many, places can we go visit? But like, hey, let's just seek the Lord for a week. I think the 2 of us together, or things like that. Or, honestly, the other thing that I really learned is like all the things I took for granted, all the things that I have in my life that, on a day-to-day basis, even if it's just relationships, relationally, like, being able to wake up next to my wife in the morning, or give my kids a kiss on the forehead before they go to sleep and tell them I love them. Those were hard moments at night when I was out in the woods, because I have a routine with my kids every night. My older two, we'll do our good night routine, and then my younger two, I have a song that I sing each of them every night, and I do the same thing for my kids every night. And I didn't think that would be the thing that would make me super emotional. I was like, I can't sing to my kids tonight. Like, I can't rub my wife's back before I go to sleep. Like, this is weird. Like, this is not natural. This really is. It would make me emotional, And so it's just moments like that, moments that I would take for granted. Now that I'm back, like I said earlier, like turning on the faucet, I don't take that for granted anymore. Telling my kids I love them and kissing them on the forehead before they go to sleep, I don't take that for granted. Letting my wife know that I love her before I leave for work, I don't take that for granted anymore. It's having a nice climate controlled house, I definitely don't take that for granted. I can't say it enough how thankful I am for the opportunity, because it forever will change the way I look at life.
Yeah, those moments have a way of illuminating what's important.
Mm-hmm.
They help us prioritize. In 2013, me and Ashley, it was like a couple days before Christmas, we lost our house to a fire.
Oh man!
And yeah, we lost everything. Of course, now you're talking about 13 years later. It feels like it feels like it happened to a different person.
Right.
It feels like a story I read about someone else, opposed to being us. But we lost everything. It was a total loss of the fire. But there are times I look back at this thing that happened and miss it. Mm-hmm. Because there was this season when we had nothing but each other and no clue of what life was going to look like. There was this raw trust of the Lord, like, we're just out here in these streets. Like, we don't have anything. I was working 2-3 jobs in ministry, and we got a baby. And there was this season where God was doing so much in our lives and speaking so much. And I look back and I was like, what? It was a roller coaster of God's provision. Like, man, God was just showing up. Oh, we didn't know where we were going to live. Boom, God showed up. We didn't know how we were going to do. God showed up. It was just this constant thing. And I wonder if part of these experiences you've had with intense solitude, with God's voice being the only voice there you could hear. It was either going to be your voice, God's voice, or the devil, I guess. I don't know.
The devil don't live in Canada, I can tell you that, because I wasn't hearing it. He don't even mess with Canada.
Are there moments of that where you look back and you are there things you miss that you want to try to include? I think that's kind of what I'm even wondering. What things can I draw from your experience that I can now include even in my own life?
Yeah.
Do you find yourself missing some of that time with the Lord?
Oh, for sure.
And creating space for that now? What's that like?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that I would say that I miss is and it's not that I don't trust God, but it's like when I was out there, that's all I had was to trust God, and he would come through every time. And it just could be, it got to the point where it was like, yeah, like I said, it was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. Like, I can just trust you and you're taking care of me. Like, this is great. So, and then when you get back into the comfort of your everyday life, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm self-sufficient. I've got a job, I've got all this stuff. And so it's kind of like, there have been moments where, you slip back into the thing. It's like, well, I've got this under control. I can handle this on my own. But it's like, I have to remind myself, no, life can be so much better and so much easier if you just give the reins up, and you trust God. And, I've been trying to be more intentional with that, and also more bold with my prayers of because in the past I'd always think of this is another thing you and I talked about, Brian, being safe with my prayers, and being like, guys, it's all good. Whatever you want to do, if you do this, cool. If not, I'm gonna give myself an out in case it doesn't happen, because God might not show up. And it's like, no, he's always going to show up. It just might not be the way that I wanted it or the way I envisioned it. But, trying to be more intentional with my prayers and be like, hey, God, you know what? Here's what I need. You know what I need. Here's what I need. I trust you. You're going to come through one way or another. It may not be how I envision it. It may not be how I want it in the moment, but you're always going to provide a way. You're always going to provide the lamb, the sacrificial lamb that we need, things like that. Like, God's always in control. He's not stupid. God's not sitting back like, well, please let me know what you need, because otherwise I might not be able to help you. It's like, God knows what we need, but God's not going to force himself upon us. Like, he wants us, just like my kids, it brings me so much joy, and it's like so much for me as a human purpose when my kids tell me what they need, and I may not always be like, let me give you the Snickers bar right now at 8 a.m. It's like, no, like, here's what you actually need. This is better for you. I'm going to give you a good, healthy breakfast or something like that, but God's always providing. He's always there for us. And, that's something that I have to remind myself from my experiences, like, let God be in control. Like, I have to do my part, but like, God's way is so much easier. It's so much more fruitful and so much better. And I usually just mess it up anyway. So,
this may be like a little bit of a vulnerable question, and permission to like defer or not answer or whatever. But like, now, re-entry, what are you finding yourself trusting the Lord for now? What is the thing on the show? It looks so simple and there's so much clarity. I'm trusting the Lord for water, food, shelter. But now in our society, it feels blurry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trusting the Lord for this. What is Luke and Lindsay as a family, or you and your brothers? What are the things now that you're saying, okay, I'm really going to trust God for this?
I think for me, there's been different things since the show has been done. I mean, there was definitely, just being completely vulnerable. Like, that was an incredible experience, but it also did mentally, it messes with you a little bit too. And so, one of the things that I had to really seek the Lord and trust God is like, hey, you know what, mentally, kind of getting back into society and into real life, and being in a traumatic experience like that, it definitely had its amazing moments and its moments of growth, but like, it was also very traumatic physically and mentally and emotionally too. So trusting that, I had to pray for good community, like, to gather around me, and I have good community, but like, also I had to, as a guy, like, I'm never the most vulnerable person. Like, it's just that's not how I've ever been. But like, I've been definitely asking God to help me be more vulnerable in those areas with the people that I have in my life that I trust. And, as a guy, for me, like, I'm never like, it's never like, oh, I want to tell people that I'm struggling. I want to tell people that I'm not doing well in a spot, like, mentally, like,
I'm so good at that.
Like,
I'm so good.
And
so am I.
Cool. I don't relate to your weakness in that, because I'm always vulnerable and authentic and open.
But like, even like, I remember there was a night where I was on real bad anxiety. I didn't know what it was from. But it was just like, man, I couldn't sleep. And I was like, okay, I need to tell Lindsay, but I was like scared to tell her. I was like, why am I scared to tell my wife this? And I finally was like, you know what? Why? This is stupid. Like, obviously, the devil is trying to get me to a spot where I have to try to just like internalize this, and that's not going to lead to anything healthy. So I remember telling my wife, and she's like, thank you for telling me that. Like, I'm going to help you through this. Let's get your friends involved. Let's do this with people that we trust. And like, just being open about that. And that's one thing that I would encourage to anybody who finds themselves in like mentally in a tough spot, like whether it's anxiety, depression, any of those things. It's so much easier with community and with people in your corner. Like, you got people that care about you. Like, that's one thing that, I always knew, but then having to put it in practice, because I'd never really dealt with that before the show, but I think it was something about going through that really just physically and mentally like traumatizing situation, that I definitely needed my community to gather around me and be there for me. And yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or not. I kind of rambled there for a minute, but just vulnerable place to be. But like, honestly, I feel like I've grown in my relationships with the people that I'm close to, because it's just helping my trust grow so much with them. And, my ability to be more open and transparent when I'm struggling with different things, and yeah, it's been really cool. Honestly, it's helped my wife and I's relationship grow stronger, because, I've learned on a completely different level, like how much my wife actually loves and cares about me, because especially when I first got back, like I was literally like a zombie, and she literally just waited on me hand and foot. Everything that I needed, even if I didn't know that I needed it, she was constantly there for me. And she has been just such an amazing rock, like throughout my whole life. But then like I've seen just an entirely different side of her through this whole thing, where, she is the most amazing woman and the most caring woman that I've ever met. And to see her balance while I was off having my adventure and my struggles, she was at home being a single parent, helping me run my business while I was out of town. Her and my pregnant sister-in-law at the time, who just had a baby, shout out Kayla, and my dad, like, and all the while having 4 kids who are emotional, not understanding why dad's gone, all these different things. And so, she had every right to be like, hey, you're back now. Like, I need you to step in and help out. But like, she even took it to another level. So it's been, it's been so cool. Like this whole journey, like it's been so cool to see how much community I have, how much support I have. Even just in our watch parties every week, like the amount of people that I realize that I have in my corner, like, and it's not just because I was on a show, like it's really not that, like, but like I've realized like how many people that I do have that actually care about me, but I didn't realize that number was so big. And I think that like if for anybody, like it was really eye-opening to me, like, and I think it would be the same for anybody. Like people need to realize like you have people in your corner, and there's a lot of people that genuinely care about you. And it's been really cool, man. Like it's been so fun. And I know that season is done. But there's more adventures to come in the future, and I can't get too into it right now, but let's just say my reality TV days aren't done. So, but it's gonna go beyond just me on this next one. So someone else real close to me gets to be a part of it.
Have you found that you have new fans? Like at your watch party, it was like the one that I went to locally here. There was a bunch of people that were all fans of Luke. Right? I don't know that it was a lot of people that were just fans of the show, and which is a neat thing to discover. Yeah. I didn't realize I had so many fans that will just get into something because I'm into it, and everybody was watching the show just because you and your brothers were there. Not necessarily they were fans of the show. But have you gotten new fans? Are there people that are like tracking with you now? Are there people that are like following you? What's that like since the show?
Yeah, I mean,
what's that been like to be known a little bit? Or
it's been weird. I mean, and it's like, it's I don't know. Like, there's been a few instances where people have like,
are you famous now?
I don't know about that. I'm just a nobody, man. Like that's why I'm on here with you guys. Like, no, it's been crazy. Like, the funniest thing is like when people like I went to the bank the other day to put a check in, and the lady in the window, she was like, have you ever seen Extracted? I was like, yeah. She's like, are you? I was like, yeah. She's like, you're brothers. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like a lot of the people that recognize me in public are like, oh, you guys are the villains. And it's like, I swear we're nice guys. Just give us a chance. Yeah. But, no, it's been cool. And then even just the friendships.
Like lose business contracts and stuff. We're not hiring those guys.
They're not playing the quinceanera.
Yeah, no, it's been crazy, man. Like, but even just the friendships that I've gained out of it, and one specifically, which you guys need to reach out to this guy. I can get you connected. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the show Squid Games, the challenge on Netflix. So Trinity from season 2, top 5, amazing story. Basically gave up a chance, a very, very realistic chance to win over $5 million, I think. And then he gave it up because he felt like God was telling him to on the show, on Netflix, like just being open about his relationship with the Lord. And I've gotten to know him, like, come to find out we go to the same church. So I've gotten to know him and like kind of pick his brain.
That's a big church.
Yeah,
it must be a significantly
a Life Church. I'll shout it out.
Church.
Life Church. But
I didn't realize we went to church together, bro.
Well, he was on a show right before I was, but even just like God opening up that door to become friends with him and be able to hear like, hey, how did you process this mentally? How did you work through these things? Like, and his was also very traumatic, but like also how did you do that while still keeping Christ at the front and Christ as like the real image that people are seeing? They're not seeing Trinity, they're seeing Christ. Because if you watch that season 2, which I encourage you to do, if nothing else, just to watch him, like, it's been really cool and really life-giving to have somebody who can relate, with what I did and what I went through on at least on a certain scale, like, to be able to have that relationship now. And so it's been, I've had a lot of really cool relationships come out of us, a lot of cool friendships. It's also brought a lot of old friendships back, where, I may not have been as connected with this person, but they're like, hey, I saw you doing this. This is so cool. And then, get to be friends with them and, again, and kind of rebuild those relationships. And then also just my relationship with my brothers too, even though we weren't together on the show, like my relationship with both of them is so much stronger now because of that, learning to trust them while I was out there. It was really cool. Like, so relationally, like it's been really, really fun to see the new.
So were you always close with David and Daniel, or was this like, because siblings can kind of have it kind of comes and goes, but have you guys always been tight? And I mean, you said they were into reality shows and they've been still trying to get on other shows. Was their relationship always there, or was it like, well, hopefully this is something that works for us?
Oh, no, we're super close. Like, we do everything together. We work together. We're all in a band together. Very involved. Like, Daniel and David are my best friends. Like, they're not just my brothers. They're like 2 of my best friends. And so everything that we do, it's one, if not both of them are usually involved. Like, we're very close-knit like that. So, I mean, they were, from the get-go, I knew if it was going to be 3 people going on there, it was going to be us 3. Like, because and it's crazy because I, like, before the show started, I was like, I trust these guys. Like, that's why I want them here. The only person I trust more than them is my wife. And, we wouldn't have anybody to watch the kids for a month. So she's like, I'm not going.
But he didn't trust his brothers with his children.
Exactly.
Trusted you there.
I trust them with my life.
Not the 4 kids.
Not with my children. No, I don't trust these 2 yahoos with that.
No. So, but I've always been really close to them. Because like I said, Daniel's right above me, David's right beneath me, and there's 8 kids, and so we've always just had a really close bond. I'm close to my other siblings too. They're all great. Even my wife's sisters, they're my sisters. I'm really close to them, but I knew that number one, they wouldn't back down. In HQ, they would stand up for me. And they would also make for some really good television. So that was definitely the selling point of us getting on the show. It wasn't about me. Anytime I talked to producers, I was like, listen, if you want absolute chaos, you need to have my brothers in there. So that's honestly, I think the reason we made it on the show is because of them.
So what's ahead? And you guys have this band Wonderscope. You went on the show hoping Wonderscope got a little bit of recognition, and I'm sure it did. Hopefully it did. What's next for the band? I mean, is there something coming forward for you guys?
Well, so it was really fun. The premiere of the show, that day, we dropped our first full-length album and got to do an actual live performance for the first time together as a band at a sold-out venue. There was basically where we had the premiere was this giant theater room. at this event space called Atlas Night in Kansas City, which anybody who's hearing this and you come to Kansas City, you have to go check out Atlas Night. It is the coolest place ever. You feel like you're walking into like a 80s sci-fi movie. It's really cool. But they have a giant theater room in there. And so like a movie theater style seating, packed out. They had to bring in extra chairs. We got to do our first performance and then watch the premiere of a reality TV show we were on together. And so that was really fun. And then at the finale of the show, we actually released an EP, a 3-song EP that's kind of based on the perspective that each of us had while on the show. And so that just dropped. We're taking a little bit of a hiatus because, like I said, my brother, his wife just had a baby a couple days ago. My sister-in-law, Kayla, she is a trooper. 11.2 pounds. Little baby Colette. Yeah. So,
Man, that girl gave birth to a toddler.
seriously. She is a beautiful little girl, Colette. Super proud of them and happy for them. And then Cameron, our other guitarist, he and his wife just had a little baby girl as well. So we're taking a few weeks off just to give family some time to bond and have that precious time together. And then we're gonna hit the ground running. We're gonna try to do some live shows. Just keep making art, man. That's what we're all passionate about. All of us love music. We've done music our whole life. And it's been really cool to be able to do that with my brothers and some really good friends too. And so, yeah, we're just gonna keep creating music and start performing live. So,
what are 2 or 3 bands or artists that you would say like inspire your sound?
That's tough because each of us have different inspirations.
Okay.
I think the one big band that we all really do love is the Killers. We're huge fans of the Killers. Brandon Flowers is an amazing songwriter.
Yeah.
And I just love him. I also love U2, like stylistically, like The Edge, their guitarist was a huge influence on me and why I wanted to play guitar.
We also got to go like they were Christians. So mom and dad were like we could listen to them as secular music, like, but they're Christians. Mom. Like,
And they were homeschooled, so that's even like double.
So it's a win.
Yeah, no, exactly. But honestly, we try to like really put our own flair on it mostly. Like we're trying to create music, but we also wanted to incorporate a lot of influences that we had, but also be its own unique thing. So people ask like, what genre we are. It's really hard for me at least, to nail it down to one thing because you've got a little alternative, a little rock, a little pop, different things like that. So, also my brother Sam, who he hasn't performed with us, but he did a lot of the writing musically for us on our first album and then some on our EP as well. And he is just one of the most creative people you'll ever meet in your life. Like he's very gifted, very talented. So he played a really big part in our music as well. And I'm sure he'll continue to do that down the road. But yeah, it's been really cool, like being able to do something I'm really passionate about, but also with people that I genuinely care about and enjoy being with, and just doing it with brothers. It's been really cool.
I think cities have sounds. Like if you're from Atlanta, there's a sound. Nashville
For sure.
currently has a very sound that's trying to, I think, shift back to traditional country music. LA has a sound.
Austin.
New York, Austin has a sound. You're from the Kansas City area. Is there something about Kansas City and that community that maybe has brought influence to your sound? I don't know if Kansas City's a music hub, but maybe the blues a little bit.
It's got like it's jazz and blues and stuff like that. There's a lot of roots in that from back in the day, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily Kansas City inspired. Although we all love Kansas City, it's our home. We're passionate about the city, and our goal is we want to create that. Like big dream, big view.
Nice.
We want to be the ones to create and not to say there's not incredible bands here in Kansas City, because there's some really great bands in Kansas City. But we really want one of our goals, because we love Kansas City so much, is we want to help elevate the music scene to the next level. Not even just with our music, but helping those bands that are actually killing it and making really good music. Like, we want to really put Kansas City on the map with like what artists that are actually here. They're actually really talented. There's a lot of really talented artists here.
So, music, band, reality TV show. Do you hope that this goes just viral? Like, are you comfortable with the thought of a year from now or whatever being a celebrity? Like is that okay? Like, let's do this band, because a lot of people would look at, well, we have a band, we're making music, making art, we want to do some shows, reality TV. It would look maybe like we want to get into that celebrity known influence. I want to say influence instead of fame.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying any of those things with a tone of judgment or prejudice. But do you feel like that? Is there a part of you that are like, okay, yeah, we want to go for that?
Honestly, I don't really care. Like, I'd be fine either way. You know, honestly, for me, it's like I'm just kind of like whatever door's open, I'll walk through it. You know, I'm not like anticipating, being on Jimmy Fallon by next, spring or anything like that. If it happens and God opens that door,
he's got a Hallmark. He's got a Hallmark actor face, though, right? Like,
that's it.
like,
Hallmark
look at him.
movie. That's the goal. Hallmark movie. I want to be in a Hallmark.
He could
Christmas
be Hallmark
special.
famous for sure. Look at that smile.
Your Candace
Look
Cameron
at that
play.
smile.
Like, but he's saying, we're moving off Hallmark. What's Candace Cameron? Like, she got Pure Flicks.
Yeah, Great American Family
Hey,
face.
Hallmark
Great American Family face.
is based in Kansas City. Like, so that could be the connection there. Yeah, I want to be on a Christmas card.
All right, let's do a shout out to all of them. Candace, Great
Danica
American,
McKellar, all these people.
Listen, your next Christmas, the tree lot that's about to go out of business. This guy,
man,
this guy is your guy right here.
Baby blue eyes. Yeah.
No, you'd have to get my brother Daniel. He's single. I'm not gonna go. Those are all about like lovey-dovey relationships, and you don't want me for that. Like, unless you cast my wife as the leading lady. I'll make out with my wife on a Hallmark Christmas special.
But one right there.
I'm not going to make out with some random lady on a Hallmark. But you put my wife on
I like
there.
that. Let's have some morals.
You'll see some fireworks if you put my wife and I on there.
Yeah.
I'm sure my kids would love that. No, I don't know. As far as like fame goes though, like, dude, it'd be cool. It also like, and I've always told like my brothers this too, like with the music, because my brother Daniel, he's always like, hey, like, just because I'm the lead singer, like, I want everybody to have their own. Like, dude, I don't care if I'm in the background. I don't care if people never know that I'm even there. I just want to be a part of it because I love it. I'm doing what I love, and that's what matters to me. And yes, it's amazing if there is like some notice, with that, like if people start recognizing that. But it's more so, what's more exciting to me in that situation is the fact that people are appreciating the art that I'm creating. It's not the fact that like, oh man, I might be able to buy a nice car. That'd be great. And I could definitely use a nice car. But what excites me in those moments is like, man, everything that I've been passionate about and I've been working towards, people might actually get to experience it. They might actually get to hear it. Because I don't know, man, something about being famous, that just seems like it'd be really exhausting. And like, I don't know that I'd really want to be like those celebrities where you never have any privacy. Like people are always trying to get something out of you, trying to do that.
Exhausting.
Tell me about it, Brian. Like
those 2 DMs that we get daily, they're so overwhelming.
It is exhausting. I think I definitely have met people, know people that are in Nashville music scene, and the art is a means to an end. Like, I think they really want to be known.
Yeah.
Right. There is a desire that people have, and you see it with TikTok, and they're going viral, and whatever it takes, whatever new trend, however foolish they need to look, or it's trying to break the algorithm, break the code, regardless of if the album was good or not. Or if they were proud of the music. They just want to be global. And that doesn't seem to be like where you are.
No, I'm gonna walk while I talk. My phone's about to die, so I'm gonna put it on the charger here. But let's switch locations if you don't mind. Sorry.
No, you're good.
It's and that's the thing is like I feel like to me it's like I never want my identity to be wrapped up in what I do. Like I don't want that to be what like I'm known for. Like. And I know that sounds super cheesy, super Christian-y, but like, ultimately I want my identity to be more than that. Like, because all that stuff will come and go. You look at people who have been big time performers in the past, and like nobody knows who they are anymore. They're down in Branson doing like a residency, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great, but like all that stuff comes and goes. Like I'd rather be a part of something that outlives that, and that's going to involve, the Lord. Like, that's been the thing, man. Like even partnering with Missions Life, man. Like I want to be a part of something that's going to help people and that's going to outlive me. Because I might make some absolute bangers that people sing for 2 years and then they never hear again. And that's great, but that's not changing somebody's life long term. That might change my place in life for a little while and make life more comfortable for me. But like, man, if I can be a part of something even bigger than that, that's not just affecting my life, but affecting a lot of people's lives, like that would be cooler to me. That's something that I'd want to get on board with more. So,
yeah.
And just having come back from Zambia, walking through the villages, mapping out the wells that we're going to be digging with Luke and them and the guys that they're partnering with up there, and they funded some of these wells that we're doing. And there are kids, and when they turn about 4, is when they'll start walking to carry water for their families at about 4 or 5 years old.
It's heartbreaking.
And one of the spots that we went, I asked them how far they are from clean water, because they'll dig a shallow water well that's not clean, and they'll drink from that maybe until dry season dries it out. But they're walking like 7 kilometers, 8 kilometers, and they're doing that sometimes like 5 times a day. So you're talking about some of them 2 miles, more than 2 miles. The mom, all the kids, once they reach the age where they can carry water. And what you guys will do, like this drilling season, it will literally change their lives forever. The kids will still have to walk for water, but they're not walking that far. Yeah. You're talking about it's so reasonable, the distance. We're thinking 500 meters now, not kilometers, for them to walk to clean water placed throughout these villages. And it changes them being able to go to school, them being able to be healthy. And that, like when your kids have kids, their kids will have kids, and people will still be drinking from these wells.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that outlasts that. Right. And that's a neat thing about relationships, where people that are meeting you now from reality TV show, they're giving. They're part of what you're doing in the wells. They're friends of yours that came to watch parties. You've been telling them about these things. Whether you are known globally or nationally or on the reality TV show, there is a part of you're going to be known. I mean, you're going to be known in heaven. You're going to be known in the kingdom for some of these things that other people overlook. And that's been really cool. I've loved to connect in that. Yeah. And we prayed big prayers together and talked about those things together. And I'm not doing it, and you're not doing it. It's the Lord doing it and letting us be a part of it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And it's been really cool, man. It's been really cool seeing God open doors and God come through time and time again, man. I know he's going to keep doing that. So I'm super excited. What for the people who have been to any of the watch parties or heard me talk, like they know, what you and I are involved in, and what a lot of them are now involved in. And it's so cool to be able to be a part of something bigger than, for me, like bigger than Extracted, like that was a huge moment in my life. It was a huge highlight for me, and I'll always remember that. But like to know that led to something even bigger is so cool, man. And it's so humbling to think that, like, that played a part in people having clean water. Like, and I'm not patting myself on the back at all, but like, if that's what it took, like, clearly God was trying to get something through to me. He's like, listen, this joker, the only way I'm going to wake him up is if I go drop him in the Canadian wilderness. Like, come on, Luke, wake up. So, for anybody who's listening, listen to God. Otherwise, he may drop you out in some godforsaken wilderness. You're going to have to suffer to hear the message he's trying to tell you. Don't get to that point.
I prayed a prayer when I felt the call of the Lord. I said, Lord, I'll do anything but be a missionary.
Yeah.
So I let Brian do that work.
You be careful.
Brian instead. I think.
You be careful. You might find a plane ticket to Peru in your pocket tomorrow.
If Brian's going, I'm going. That's what it is.
All right. We'll make it happen.
Yeah. Well, Luke, we have loved this conversation, man. We had a couple questions we want to wrap up
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
So Brian, you want to go ahead?
What would you say to somebody who's like on the fence of deciding whether or not to like take the risk? Sometimes we feel like who am I? Like I'm a nobody. And a thing like a reality TV show or a band or a dream, it feels so far away, and sometimes it's hard to take that first step. How would you encourage people to just throw the application in to do that?
I mean, here's what I would say: you can either play it safe the rest of your life, then that's comfortable, that's cool, or if you've got a chance to do something bigger, why wouldn't you? You know, it may not work out. It may. You know, there's 40,000 people that applied for Extracted. It may not work out the way that you think, but like, what do you have to lose? Like, do something big. This sounds super cheesy, but like, find a dream and go for it. Like, you know, I would have never have thought that I would have been on a reality TV show even a year ago. Like, from this point, like, I would have never thought that was a reality. But you'll never know unless you try. Like, and there's nothing wrong with trying. You know, I think nothing big is going to happen if you just sit on your rear and do nothing. Like, you got to take a step. And yeah, I think it's definitely worth trying. Do something cool. You know, it doesn't have to be going on a reality TV show to be cool. Like, learn to play the piano. Do something you've always wanted to do. Give it a shot. You're never too old to do something really adventurous and exciting. Go on a fun trip. You know, travel the world. Go over to Africa with Brian. You know, see what they're doing over there. Those kind of things. You know, it's
That's me,
you know,
guys.
find an adventure and make the most of it. You know, that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's great. Luke, one final question is: who's a nobody in your life that you think the world should know about?
Oh man, see, the people, I would never call them nobodies. The first person obviously that comes to my mind is my wife. Like, and to me, like, I almost feel guilty saying nobody because she's everything to me, you know. But if you want to see somebody who has overcome a lot in their life and has still walked through the fire and come out on the other side with so much love and compassion and grace for everybody that she meets, Lindsay Olson is the first person I'd think on that list. You know, outside of that, like my initial family, I think my buddy Jay Porter. He has been such a huge part of my life. I talk to that dude every week. We hold each other accountable in every area of life, and that guy is changing the world. And I am very thankful for my friendship with him, and just the impact that he's had on my life and his entire family's had on my family. Those are two people. And then y'all know the Lambs, like, they're amazing. Like, none of those people are nobodies, but like, you know, if you're giving me an opportunity to shout out people that have had a huge impact on my life, you know, definitely the entire Lamb family down in Cleveland, Tennessee. You know, they're some of the most sincere, real, genuine, loving people that you will ever meet. And they would do anything for anybody without any strings attached. Just some of the coolest people you'll ever meet. And great at smoking meat too, which, as a Kansas City native, barbecue is a love language. And so anytime I come down and visit Cleveland, Will is always, you know, doing something on his Big Green Egg, cooking or smoking something. And I just feel like absolute royalty whenever I visit them. So real cool family.
Valid.
Yeah. Luke, man, we have loved this. And as we always say here with a couple nobodies, you don't ever have to try to be somebody. So thanks for coming on and being a nobody with us.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.